Hello and welcome to this unusual semester of Bibliography 615 Research Methods, and this is a combined section for linguistics and TESOL students. Um, there are going to be some unusual things about this semester, so I wanted to walk you through the syllabus in this first intro video. Note that while the class is scheduled to meet Wednesday evenings on campus and face-to-face, we're going to be significantly scaling back that face-to-face element of this class for reasons I'll talk about in a moment. Everything that you need for the class is going to be on this website here. I've migrated the class to a plain HTML website, which is just a little bit easier to access and to deal with on different devices than our university technology often is. And you won't need to sign in with your Duo authentication or anything like that. It's just a plain, easy to use HTML website. All the materials will be up there. So please do use that. I'll link it from eCampus, of course. In terms of office hours, they are officially discouraging people from having one-on-one meetings on campus this semester. And if we did so, we'd need to wear masks and so on and so forth. So I'm going to basically have office hours. I'm going to try to have standing office hours every weekday from 9 to 10 a.m. I will send you a Zoom link when I figure out how to get that up and running. But then more generally, I'm available for meetings by appointment more or less anytime you want to. So just send me an email. Even if it's like, hey, can you meet in 2 hours this afternoon? If I see that in time, I'll probably be able to do that. So let me know anytime you want to meet. I mean, obviously, a day or two notice would be better, but I'm always happy to meet by Zoom or by some other technology anytime anybody wants to. Okay, so the big news about this class is that the face-to-face component is going to be minimal this semester, and whatever face-to-face activities are available are going to be optional. So nobody's required to come to campus. We're not going to be having 3-hour lectures every Wednesday night, and there's a couple reasons for this. So first and foremost, about half the students in this class didn't make it to the United States this semester because of the pandemic, and so they're going to be taking the class remotely and doing so from radically different time zones. So, excuse me for a second. I want to be able to see my mic levels. Yeah, so that obviously makes it pretty challenging to try to do in classroom lectures. And anyway, in normal years, most of those class meetings, I'm not going to lecture for 3 hours. Most of those class meetings consist of small group breakouts where we discuss things. I go around from group to group and ask what you guys are discussing. And obviously, that's going to be impossible this year with social distancing. Also, in normal years, I usually replace about half the lectures by one-on-one meetings anyhow. Right? So you're going to be working on a big project for the duration of this class. And I like to take several weeks during the semester to just meet with people one-on-one and see how you're doing on your projects. It's one of the most valuable parts of this class. And so that's going to have to happen on Zoom anyway. And then finally, I don't want to make anybody come to face-to-face lectures if they don't feel comfortable doing so. I think it's completely understandable why some people might want to stay away from campus, and I want to give everybody the option of doing so if that's what they want. Okay. Excuse me. Here's what I'm doing for now. I'm going to be posting the lecture material online. I'll be doing that in small chunks. These aren't going to be 3-hour videos. I'm going to shoot for 20 to 30 minutes per topic, and then there will be several topics for each week. And we'll try out synchronous discussion or help sections if there's a demand for them with scheduling to be announced. So I might try to schedule one of those maybe later this week or next week. I'm also very much open to face-to-face meetings with individuals or small groups if you think that that would be a useful thing to do, with the proviso that if we meet on campus, we're going to be sitting on opposite ends of my office wearing masks. And I would actually rather meet somewhere outdoors if possible, at least until it gets cold later this semester. But let me know if you feel strongly that face-to-face meetings are important or necessary, and I definitely can make some arrangements with you. Otherwise, I'm happy to meet on Zoom. Yeah, so what is this class about? Well, there's a bunch of things, but here are three big things that this class is about. I'm going to try to introduce you to the tools, resources, and critical thinking abilities that you need to be an informed consumer of research. And of course, it's going to be specifically geared towards linguistic research or applied linguistic research. But hopefully, the skills you learn in here will allow you to adequately read all sorts of different research in different fields. I'm going to try to teach you some basic methodologies for producing your own research if you decide to go that route. And I'm going to try to help you frame, summarize, and disseminate research. Learn how to do this, and also yourself, right? So to present yourself and apply for things, we're going to talk about things like conferences and grad schools and jobs later on this semester. And these are all components of the class. And so the best way to really learn these things is through doing them. So most of the assignments here are going to involve going through the steps of building a research project, and that's going to be the final project for the class. You're going to pick a research area, a research question, read some background literature, scholarly literature in that area, pick a specific question, and then address that research question by proposing original research. That's going to culminate in your final project. And this is going to be due at the end of the semester. Normally I have presentations in here, but that seems not feasible this semester, so we're just going to do the paper by itself. You're going to write what I'm calling a research proposal on some topic that you find interesting. So the first several homework assignments, about 3 or 4, are going to help you prepare for this by finding different kinds of research that's out there, picking a topic that interests you, identifying interesting aspects of these research papers, and zeroing in on specific questions that you might want to address in a research project. Now I'm calling this a proposal because you're going to be basically writing a research paper, but you don't have to actually gather the data or finish the research for this particular class, right? You're not going to have to run out and do an experiment or try a teaching intervention or anything like that. Of course, if you want to, that's great, but this is not a required part of the paper. I just want you to get into the habit of thinking like a researcher. So at a minimum, the paper is going to need an introduction section, which explains what the topic is that you're investigating, why that topic is interesting, a brief summary of how you're going to investigate your question, and a critical summary of previous literature that you've read, scholarly literature, that's relevant to your topic, so a literature review. You're going to need a section explaining the methodology that you're going to use to investigate the topic and explaining why you made these methodological choices. And then a section explaining the predictions of different kinds of approaches or hypotheses regarding that topic of investigation, where you outline what different possible outcomes of the study would be consistent or inconsistent with these different approaches. So I don't expect you to go out and actually get the data, but you need to do some thinking about what the data would look like and what you would expect the data to show given different kinds of theoretical background or hypotheses. So the write-up is going to be the last day of, it says WVU fall classes here. It's actually the last day of our class, which is Wednesday, December 2nd. I'm pretty flexible. Let me know ahead of time if you're going to have difficulty meeting the deadline. We can figure something out. In general, you should have a pretty good idea of what your topic is and maybe some specific research questions as well by mid-October. And we'll have at least one meeting before then. You'll have done several assignments. If it's mid-October and you're still struggling to figure out a topic to work on, make sure that you make a meeting with me. We'll figure something out. Here's a sort of general note about this class. Research methods is a very broadly defined topic, and it's not clear what exactly you might want to include in such a class in specific terms. I'm going to say that the most important aspect of the class is that it should be relevant to your individual interests and your aspirations for your career here at WVU and beyond, right? So I don't really know you guys yet, professionally or academically, and I will completely rework the class to better suit your purposes or your needs if they're different from what I'm sort of assuming here. But if you want me to do that, I'm going to need you to let me know what your goals are. for this program, for this class. What do you find useful? What are you trying to do here? And I will do my best to accommodate any requests like that. So here's what we have for the requirements in the class. The sort of main body of the class is going to be periodic homework assignments. The first 4 of these are going to be pretty intensive writing assignments that are kind of clustered at the beginning of the class. And those are helping you get prepared for your final project, find a topic, review some literature, think critically about the papers you're reading. And then there's a couple more homework assignments on more practical things towards the end of the semester. They won't be quite as writing or reading intensive. There's very few assigned readings, mostly at the beginning of the semester. Please do those before the lecture comes in. We're going to have individual meetings here, and I'm just giving you 10% for showing up to your individual meetings, whether it's virtually or in person. And then there's the final paper, which is going to be worth not quite as much as the homeworks, but almost as much, right? So this is really the culminating part of the class where you tie together everything you've learned this semester and show me what a good researcher you've become. The required readings, the very few ones that there are posted on the course website. And this semester in particular, there's not that many required readings. Most of the readings that you're going to do are going to be research literature that you track down on your own. In general, I'm going to try to get the assignments posted on the website at least a week before they're due. These homeworks are going to be graded on a pass-fail basis. I don't really see the point of trying to assign letter grades to writing assignments like this, where it's highly subjective and where everybody's doing their best to learn. In general, this class is really more of a journey for you and an attempt to try to develop your skills and your critical thinking. I'm not so interested in assigning detailed plus and minus grades. If you do the work, if you produce a good paper, if you give your best effort in the class, you're going to get an A. I'm not too concerned with grading in here. If you're going to be late with a homework, let me know as early as possible, and we can work something out on a case-by-case basis. In general, I'm only going to take late homeworks if you've given me prior notice of a reasonable excuse. This semester, you can send me your homework by email. Any kind of attachment is fine as long as I can read it. And yeah, even if you want to like photocopy or photograph a handwritten piece of paper, as long as I can read it, that's fine. Please don't use the eCampus homework submission thing. I find it very problematic and hard to use. Just email me your assignments. It's a pretty small class. This is a good bit, the individual meetings. So one of the advantages of having a pretty small class is that I can provide individualized feedback and advising to you. And so I've set aside whole chunks of weeks during the semester where I'm just going to meet with everybody in the class one-on-one to discuss what you've been working on and where you're hoping to go with your assignments and your final project. And of course, you can use that time to discuss anything else with me that you might be wondering about in research or linguistics or the department or whatever. And I will make announcements about the scheduling of those meetings shortly. Obviously, there are some special policies in place this semester. All of the general policies for WV classes are set by the WVU Faculty Senate, and they're online at this link here. I encourage everybody to go take a look at those syllabus statements. And in particular, there's going to be the COVID-19 statement explaining academic policies in this exceptional semester. Here's what I will say in general. I'm going to be as flexible as I can be and try to make sure everybody gets what they need out of this class in a way that isn't terrible, stressful, or traumatic. I know there's a lot of bad stuff going on out there. I know that everybody is stressed out and this is difficult. Nobody wants to be in online classes, but here we are. Let's make the best of it. I can work with you. If you're having trouble, let me know. I will do everything I can to make this semester be as good as it can be given the circumstances. In terms of my particular circumstances, I will say I have a young child in Mon County Public Schools. Mon County is where Morgantown is located. And Monmouth County Public Schools are not open at all until mid-September. And even when they do open, it's going to be meeting face-to-face only twice a week. So I'm going to be at home with my son a lot. My wife is a frontline health worker, so she's still out at the hospital working, and this means that I have limited control over my schedule. And in particular, I need to be at home with my son a lot. That said, I'm happy to basically speak on Zoom or on some other technology anytime. My son can watch TV or play a video game, but please don't be upset if there's noise going on in the background or something like that. Yeah, I just ask you to be flexible. So I think we're all probably going to have a slightly hard time this semester. Um, and obviously, things might change at some point during the semester for me or for you. Let's just all try to be maximally flexible and see if we can make this work. That's my basic status. So I wanted to lay that out there. Okay. In terms of what's happening in this class, we're on a slightly short semester this year because of the pandemic again. So we have, I think, only 13 or 14 weeks of instruction with this Thanksgiving break at the end and then remote classes afterwards. Confidentially, I will say that I think it's highly likely that all WVU classes will be moved online in the next month or two anyway. But in any case, here's what we have going on. While I'm not going to be doing all of this synchronously, I'm still going to stick to this broad schedule here. So this week, obviously, we're doing the introduction. And then you have a homework assignment due next week, which I'll talk about in another video. And that one's going to be a sort of getting to know you and getting to know what research literature looks like. It's not a huge assignment. The next week, I will give a lightning intro to linguistics and applied linguistics. And then we'll have a number of topics about what research articles look like, what research questions are like, how do you investigate hypotheses, how do you review literature, practical skills that you'll need in order to get these first 4 assignments done. And these are all related to finding a research question, reading literature, picking something interesting to work on to get you started for your final paper. So we'll have a few weeks of overview and background, and then we'll do individual meetings. I've split these up into 2 weeks because I think it probably wouldn't be productive to try to meet with all 14 of you in the same week. Instead, I'll try about 7 meetings a week. And then we will continue on a little bit further with our literature review and figuring out our final projects. We'll have another set of meetings after that point to sort of figure out, get you pointed on the way towards completing your final project. And then we'll talk about some different kinds of practical things at the end of the semester here. These are lighter homework assignments, the last 2 here. This is to hopefully give you some time, this whole block in here, to really develop your final papers. And then the last day of class, I'll ask you to turn your papers in, and maybe I'll post a short video just summing up what we've done this semester, but there's not going to be any real detailed work that last week, except for getting that paper into me. So this is what we're doing this semester, and let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Did I write this here? There's also discussion for on the website, and I did not put this on the syllabus, but I will alter that. On the course website, you'll also find discussion forums for each topic that we cover in the class. So if you don't feel like Zooming with me or sending me an email, and you'd rather leave a comment on the website, I will get a notification when you do that. It uses Discuss, this sort of web commenting framework. You can leave a comment, I'll see it, and I'll respond to the comment. And that's actually useful as well because it lets everybody else in the class see the question and the answer, or the observation that you're making, or whatever you feel like doing. So do please use that feature as well.